I'm Paddy, and this is the first video I'm going to make in a series of escaping the city videos. And we're going to start in the city where we're escaping from. So this is our lovely house, and it's a really lovely part of Bristol that we live in. And it's been a really lovely house. We've been here since 2007, and now it's 2024, and we're moving on. Why are we moving on? Partly because my partner loves it in the countryside, and she rides horses and ends up going out across to Wales 4 times a week to ride her horse. And it's not all about the horse entirely, a lot of it's just about being in the countryside. We realised during lockdown that we just like the quiet, and we like not having loads of opportunities to do things, and just all that busyness and feeling like you should be making the most of everything. So going somewhere where there's nothing to do, or a lot less to do, kind of appeals. Largely I just wanted a bit of a change. I love watching all those moving into the countryside TV programmes. Everyone seems to be getting on in years, well, a lot of people do, getting on in years when they move to the countryside. And I kind of would have liked to do that before I get too old. I'm in my 50s already. I was able to work from home, very lucky, and so was my partner, during lockdown in 2020, seems a long time ago now, and thankfully we're still able to work from home afterwards, so I've got an income and I can move to the country at the same time. Superb. So let's go around this house. Let's go at the back first. So this in here is my tiny workshop, which if I wanted to work on anything longer than about 2 feet long, I didn't have any space. And even though our house is quite big, or it looks big at the front, it's actually quite small at the back. And the garden gets very small running back. This is what I call the hangover, or the hang under? The overhang, I think I call this. I made this to give myself some outside workshop space, and then I totally filled it with wood. This is just the remains of the wood. I've taken most of it to the new place. This is going to be a project. Watch this space. Here is Soctopus, which I think IKEA really should have called this a Soctopus. It would be a good name. And this is the Moctopus, which I made to be a kind of backup for the Soctopus. We had this back door replaced with double glazing, and the double glazing people said, would you like it to open outside instead of inside? And I didn't realise you could actually do that with doors. I didn't know you were kind of allowed to change them. And of course the door got in the way of the washing machine all the time, and it opened inwards. So that opened outwards. So inspired by that, I did the same thing to this door here. This door used to open inwards, and getting things out like a lawnmower was a real pain, because the door would open into here and then everything would be behind it. And there's a toilet in here as well. I guess this is a very strange outside toilet, but I used the toilet as a kind of grey water system. The flush is connected to the mains, but it overflowed once, and the ball cock didn't work, and I found water just gushing out of this room when I came home from work. So I just flush it with a bucket, or a big bucket, which is collected from the bath downpipe here. We used to use this old, this is part of a boiler system, so we used that. In fact, old boiler tanks, really well made plastic, they just last for ages. A lot of crates and boxes just sort of turn into powder and crack. So if you can get yourself an old header tank from a boiler, then make the best use of it, because they're good things. I've done lots of woodworking projects in here, all of them terrible bodges, but a lot of them that actually work. This gate has a story or two. I've rebuilt it more than once, and one day my partner came home to find police cars, and I think there was a police helicopter flying above, police cars everywhere, and apparently there'd been a house nearby where somebody had been growing lots of cannabis, and the police had raided it, and somebody had gone running to try and get away, and they'd come up the side of our house and the police had caught them by our gate. They'd kind of like been thrown through the gate pretty much, and they'd broken our gate and cracked one of our buckets. So I'm kind of glad our gate caught a drug dealer, but I did claim the grand sum of £25 to fix the gate because I had to buy a new hasp and stuff, so I made a claim, which is quite interesting. Hopefully I haven't stopped any crimes being solved by making that claim. This is my pride and joy. I was inspired by somebody who has an Arga to make this. They keep their plates above the Arga. The idea is this: you wash your plates up, put them on the rack, you dry them, you put them away. Or you wash your plates up, you put them up there, they dry with gravity, and they stay there. That's where they live. So you can always see your plates, you don't have to go to a drawer or a cupboard and get your plates out. Dust doesn't settle on them because they're upright. And I made this from bits of an old broken cot which I rescued from a dump somewhere, I think. So I'm really pleased with this, and I'm going to try and take it with me to the new house if I can. These hooks here, that's for hanging up the washing up bowl, because I saw that idea in a prefab house actually, that they had the washing up bowl hanging up, and it's really great because if you leave your washing up bowl in the sink, for one it takes up all the sink, and two it stays wet and gets all slimy and horrible. But if you hang it up, it's out of the way, and it dries out as well, so you don't get bacteria and slime on it. I just drilled a couple of little holes in the rim, put a bit of copper wire through it, and it hangs up perfectly. You'll notice this kitchen is not like a kitchen to be proud of as such. Ooh, I better turn that off. But we did have cupboards like these white, traditional chipboard cupboards higher up. But cupboards are just not great in kitchens, particularly when you've got lots of small bottles and tubs and things, boxes. They're always at the back, and you're kind of reaching over things on these deep shelves and cupboards. Also, you open the doors, they get in your face, you bang your head on them. So I took those cupboards out and used shelves instead. This section here is my alphabetical, from almonds, cashews, chilies, right through to turmeric at the end. And this is great for cooking. You just grab a jar of what you want, tip some in, put it back. When I'm fortifying my muesli, I go along grabbing. I avoid the chilli, I don't put that one in my muesli, but cinnamon, I can add lots of things to my muesli, and that's my kind of daily superfood meal where I eat a vast variety of different plant-based foods. Here's one of my blunders. This here, a bit of loose plaster, because, and you can see on the ceiling some stains up there as well. I fitted a tap upstairs. In fact, no, I tried to fix the tap by changing the washer, which didn't go very well, but it went even worse because I didn't tighten up the pipes properly, and it leaked down through the ceiling and down the walls. It was a tiny drip, but over the course of a day or two, it caused a bit of havoc. Oh, and these splashbacks, I'm pleased with these. These were bought, I think, for £5 each from a tile shop that was closing down. And they're really nice. There's a sparkly one, a multicoloured one. I think that's a sparkly one as well. They're just pretty and different, but also do the job of keeping water off the walls. So that's worth looking out for. Why have it all the same? Why not have a bit of variety? You've got like 3 pictures to look at, basically. The hatch. This was something we had cut out for us. A lot of people remove the whole wall in the middle of the kitchen, but of course if you do that, you've lost a whole load of storage space just to make a room into a huge room. And I like the storage space, so the hatch is the best of both worlds because it opens a connection between the 2 rooms. If you're having a party and you're coming out here to cook, then you can still talk to people. We did find out to our cost that you can hear people through the hatch when you'd think you can't, so somebody would be talking about the person in the kitchen in the front room, not realising they could hear them. His cupboard's funny. I found it on a street being thrown away. It's not actually turned out to be very useful because everything's too small. I got these tiny tubs which would fit in here, but they're a bit too tiny to store any sensible amount of herbs or spices. But it was good fun because I got it just before Easter, and I bought some Easter eggs for my partner, locked them in here, but then our cat appeared and I put the keys around the cat's neck, and so she bought the keys and the Easter eggs were unveiled. So that was good fun. Here's my little peg hanger, just a plank of wood with some wooden pegs pushed through and glued, and good for hanging up those. Once you don't want it anymore, you can burn it or whatever. More shelves. Trouble is with having too many shelves means you get too much stuff on them. So don't do too many shelves because you end up with just stuff filling everything unless you've got very good self-control. When we got this house, there were these kind of multi-light units on here with 6 bulbs in each, 6 halogen bulbs, and each halogen bulb was something like 40 or 50 watts. So if they were totally filled with bulbs, that's something like 600 watts of power going all the time when you're in the kitchen. We've replaced these with just fluorescent bulbs, and those are probably drawing about 20 watts in total. From 600 watts down to 20 watts is a big saving, particularly considering you probably have your kitchen light on a lot of the time. This is the secret room. Why on earth do we call it the secret room? Well, when we moved in, we kind of would walk along this corridor. This is going to look very strange with this 360-degree camera. We'd walk along this corridor, this door would be shut, and we'd kind of forget that there was a room in here. And we'd go in and say, oh yeah, I've forgotten about this room. So has always been called the secret room. It's pretty cluttered now. You'll see there's floorboards throughout the house. We did have carpet everywhere, and we've gradually just taken it all up. We had a bit of a flea infestation at one stage. We let a neighbouring cat in, and it brought in fleas. So we did lots of flea treatments, but we just ended up pulling up carpet everywhere. And gradually we've got rid of all the carpets. I much prefer wooden flooring. It's easy to clean, and it's not so warm as carpet, but you don't get all that dust and cat hair and stuff in it. And yeah, if you spill liquid on a carpet, it's going to be there forever, really. It's hard to get rid of. I've replaced some of these floorboards and sanded the floor. It's a big job. And above your head here, this is a weird bit. We never quite worked out what this was. Maybe a wardrobe, but it's strange having this moulding around it. I've re-wallpapered this room. The plaster was getting a bit crumbly in places, and some of the bricks are quite crumbly as well. So I've done a bit of a bodge here, and I think I put the wallpaper on a little bit too soon, so there's some spots of mould. But I think it's stopped being mouldy now, hopefully, because I wouldn't want to be passing on a mouldy house to the new owners. Onwards into the main front room. This mantelpiece and fire surround is all made from an old wardrobe that I found on the streets that somebody had chucked out. So I cut it up and made this out of it. When we bought the house, the estate agents were very excited about this original feature, this ceiling rose. I don't really get them particularly, they're just things that get dust on. Same with these doors. Why do they make doors with all these lumps and bumps and grooves and things on them? What's the point of that? It just collects dust, basically. It just makes them hard to clean. I'm all for flat stuff, simple things. I made this. It's pretty wonky, but it's got some really dodgy dovetail joints on the end, which I was rather pleased with. This is specially designed to hold a huge collection of Ladybird books. It's certainly been very crowded at times. Some of our parties we've had in here are famous crafternoons, which we have near Christmas. Everyone makes crafts. We light the fire. Everyone gets really, really hot. Oh, and this is our draft excluder, which rolls up and down. Because obviously having a hatch open when it's cold and the fire's going, you just get draft blowing in. It's quite exciting to be able to see all the way through the house, from the back to the front, with a hatch like this. Okay, let's go upstairs, up the steepest stairs in the world. Well, they're not the steepest stairs in the world, but you can see I've got 2 banisters. I fitted the second one. My partner Amanda slipped down the stairs on the very first day we moved in. I put up one of her pictures upstairs. She looked back and saw it and thought, oh, that's nice, and then slipped and had a big bruise. Oh, this is my pull-up bar. I had a plan to gradually build up to being able to do pull-ups, and I still haven't managed to do it. I just don't have the arm strength. I've been doing lots of press-ups, but I just can't do pull-ups. I'll probably leave this here and it will mystify people. It's good for hanging washing on, though. I do like this landing a lot. It's nice and bright. And the bathroom. This is something I'm pleased with. This will probably look weird on the 360 camera. Instead of putting tiles up for the shower, I thought, why not use a single big sheet of something so you haven't got these gaps between them to put grout in and clean. So I got some big sheets of acrylic, so it's a pretty bendy stuff, and stuck them to the wall basically. And I'm really pleased with it as an idea. It's not that expensive and you can cut it. The shower here is somewhat wonky, so I've had to cut the acrylic wonky to fit around it. And that wonky fitting wasn't me, it was whoever fitted the shower. Here's the first job I did when I moved in the house, was fitting this in position so the door would actually lock properly. This was something we discovered. If you take the side off the bath, there's lots of space underneath to store things. Bottles and tubs and boxes and things. And this is an old bottle which I use as my washing scoop, so I can scoop water over myself and have a kind of daily quick wash. This shelf is hung up with some copper wire, so that's really the only support. So it's got these little brackets here, homemade out of some bent aluminium, just to stop it coming out from the wall. But since it doesn't need to hold any great weight, it's just held up with a piece of wire. I think that's not a bad idea for a shelf. Okay, into the bedroom. This is something I like, this wooden wall. This used to be covered in wood chip wallpaper, and I kind of experimented with taking off some of the wallpaper, so a bit light, and found it was wood underneath, so lots of scraping and scratching and hard work later. We've got this beautiful wooden wall, made of quite solid wood actually. I don't know what it is, but it's old wood. This house was built, we're thinking around 1910, so it's a fairly old house. But I wish all walls were made of wood, because even if you took this wall away, you could use that wood again, whereas with plasterboard, you'd just have to throw it away. And wood is a lot more sustainable, I think. This is the curtain I put up pretty soon after moving in, with my makeshift curtain pottle, and it's just blackout fabric, because my partner likes it properly dark at night. And this is the cupboard I built. These doors actually don't really open very well. They're a nice idea, but they get stuck on the ceiling, so not so practical. Oh, there's some things in there I need to pack. I better go up and check that. But I quite like the paint job I did. I got a plastic bag and dipped it in paint and squelched on some kind of cloudy pans. I was quite pleased with that. There used to be a double bed in here. This is my kind of about to move house kind of scuzz room, so it's a real mess at the moment. I didn't live in this kind of squalor all the time. Story of this ladder is, this was a double sliding ladder made of wood, which was in somebody's garage, and they were storing it there. They never used it. And one day they drove their car over the metalwork and punctured their tyre, and they were just totally fed up with this horrible ladder, which annoyed them so much. So they gave it away on, I think it might have been the Free Cycle site back then. We've gone through so many different giving away for free stuff sites. And we said, yes please, because we'd just had this proper loft hatch put in. There used to be a much smaller loft hatch, I think over here. I think we had it shut up, yeah, that must have been shut up. And you can't see it at all. In fact, when the surveyor did the survey of our house, they couldn't actually fit into the loft. They were too portly to fit up, and we discovered that there'd been a wasp's nest in the loft space. Thankfully there weren't any wasps in it. It was a departed one. But yeah, so we snapped this one up, and we used this ladder for putting in here, and the other piece of ladder we sawed into two, and we've used for just a handy around the house ladder to reach bookshelves, and my partner used hers to store clothes on. I've heard these kind of worn ladders are quite desirable as decorative pieces. Here's the room I used to use as a studio mostly, and you can see I was inspired by the wood in the other room to clad this wall. This is the outside wall, and some of the plasterwork on this was really crumbling off. I think damp was probably getting through, so I spent several £100 on this cladding, putting it up, and my plan was to complete the whole room, but we decided to move before I did, so this is as far as I got. It seems to be dry anyway, it's not going mouldy or rotten, so I think it's worked out okay. Up there is my guitar hanger, not wonderfully brilliant, but it's okay. And these were to put speakers on, because this was my studio room. Again, it's wooden flooring in here, but I didn't get around as far as sanding this down or varnishing it, so it's a bit scuzzy. And this yellow wall here is where I had my IKEA storage unit and couldn't be bothered to move it to paint behind. This wall here I did replaster, so this is plasterboard, because this plaster was also falling off. This went quite mouldy, and yeah, I've done another video about how I had the mould made me realise water was getting in from somewhere, which meant that the roof was pretty much condemned. So the new people who move here sometime are going to have to get that roof replaced, which means we went quite a bit less from this house than we hoped we would. What's gone on in this room? Lots of rehearsals and lots of fair bit of songwriting as well. This is the dark room, which my partner likes to use. I'm going to open the curtains. We have a rocking horse. This is the room that wasn't carpeted actually, so it's had a white painted floor. Now I'm going to move up to the final space in this house, the loft. Now this loft used to just have beams in it. I fitted these lights myself. I'm just relieved that the surveyor didn't complain about my electrical wiring. We get quite a view from up here. So we got somebody to fit these Velux windows for us, and I put down the chipboard flooring with the help of my friend Klaus. This bit of flat roof is quite fun, and during the Bristol Balloon Fiesta we've climbed up here and watched the balloons. We were thinking this would have been a good space to have people to stay if we had a house full of visitors, but we rarely had that many visitors. I did sleep up here sometimes, but you could have kind of 3 or 4 people sleeping up here if you really wanted to. So I think here on the landing is the place I will say goodbye to the house. 17 years in one place, and yeah, it's been a good place. This area is lovely. It's got shops, lots of independent shops really close by. It's got a park, it's got free tennis courts. The neighbours are pleasant. It's fairly quiet. It's surprisingly quiet actually. We're close to the A38, but can you hear anything? I certainly can't. It's just silent. So yeah, quiet and lots of good connections, good times, good memories. So thanks to everyone who's come here and seen the house and made the house a home, and farewell. I'll make another video very soon.